Very quick tips on getting ready for your practical driving test. Number one, practice. No substitute for time behind the wheel. Make sure you feel comfortable and confident in your ability. If there's something you don't like doing, or you're thinking, I hope the examiner doesn't make me do that on the day, go away and practice it some more. You need to feel really confident in your own ability, because I can't tell you how awful a driving test is, and it makes you do things you don't normally do. So make sure you've had enough practice. The examiners are going to be looking for you to demonstrate accuracy, control at all times, and consistency. So your consistency comes from having a system to deal with all those hazards that are going to come up that you're going to have to deal with. So rather than rolling along without a care in the world, something that comes up ahead that's going to make you change your speed or steer around something. So make sure you know about mirror, signal position, speed and gear, look, assess, decide and act before you get to your test. So there's loads of videos on YouTube about MSPSL, so just look it up. Paul Fanders with Conquer Driving is really simple and great at what he does, so have a look at his YouTube videos if you haven't been used to practicing it. But your driving's got to be in that sort of system that just means you only have to deal with one thing at a time en route to the thing that's going to make you deal with stuff. So have a look at how to do MSPSL. Also, whenever you pull off from the side of the road, make sure you've got a plan. Most people talk about POM, prepare, observe, move, before you pull off. I extend that and say POSH move, so prepare, observe, make sure you've done something with your signal, either turned it off if it's signaling left or put a right on if it's going to benefit, and then make sure your handbrake's off, because it's your signal and your handbrakes that get forgotten in the panic of a test. So make sure you think about it every single time you move away from the side of the curb. And similarly, mirror signal manoeuvre when you're pulling over to find somewhere safe, convenient and legal to pull up. So make sure you've got that consistency to your drive, and that looks after you when you're sat there lonely in the car on your driving test. So that's your consistency. Accuracy, make sure you can stay right in the middle of your lane when you're turning left and right, and when you're going round your roundabout, make sure you're right in the middle of the lane and you don't take the shortest route round a roundabout. If you're going straight ahead at a roundabout, make sure you stay right in the middle of that outside lane. Don't drift towards that centre line. And your control comes from just having a really nice sense of clutch control. So if you're on a slight incline, use your handbrake. Don't take the risk of rolling back a tiny bit before you set off, because it'll get picked up at and it'll be queried, what if someone's walking by behind you at the time? So don't be afraid to use your handbrake, use it and it takes the pressure off. So those three things you've got to be all over. Tips, make sure you know your area like the back of your hand that you're going to do your test in. So know all the bits of road where maybe the lanes don't go the way they normally do. So around our way there's a roundabout where left hand lane is just left only and the right hand lane is straight on and right, which doesn't normally happen. So that you've got the confidence that if you're going down a piece of road and you know that bit of road's coming up, you've got a plan of how you're going to change lanes. Common issues, physical checks if you're going to change lanes, or if you're going to come from the inside lane of a roundabout and you're going to come off, or if you're pulling away from the curb, you've got to do a physical check to make sure nothing's coming past you. Don't rely on the view from your mirrors. Make sure you do your physical checks. What are you going to do if you're in the wrong position? So say you're following your sat-nav and you're in the wrong lane, you need to get over there or get over there. Just ask yourself, realistically, what's the most sensible and what's the safest option? And take the safe option. Don't barge yourself back into a lane if it's not on. Just have the confidence to say to the examiner, oh, I'm in the wrong lane, I'm just going to go this way, because it's not going to be a problem. Manoeuvres, make sure you practice them all and you're confident with them all. The most important thing when you manoeuvre is what they're asking you to do is almost irrelevant. It's just a process to watch you do something safe. So make sure you do your all-round observations with all your manoeuvres. Every time you put your car in reverse, imagine a big red light going off and an alarm, and you've got to look all the way around so you've got that holistic view of everything that's around you. Imagine a really excited dog that's been kept indoors for days and it just escapes and it's going mad, running around your car one way, changing direction another way, and you're constantly just on the lookout to make sure that you don't get in its way as you're reversing back. So keep that constant view as you're going back, especially when you pull up on the right and you do your 2 car lengths reverse. Make sure you think of half a car length at a time. At every half car length you've done a shoulder check and a shoulder check and out the back window, and just constantly do that. So just be really careful and take all the time in the world when you do your manoeuvre. Don't rush a thing. It's your drive, just get it right and it's hard to go too slow. Back yourself and stay positive. It is horrendously nerve-wracking, a driving test, weirdly. Probably because we're not used to such intrusive supervision. But expect to feel really, really awkward at best and terrified at worst. Try and keep yourself really calm, work on your nerves, have something to eat before you go. But just stay positive and tell yourself you will be fine, because you've done loads of practice, you're really good at driving, otherwise you wouldn't be there. Just try and have a positive mindset. As long as you're not getting in people's way and doing anything dangerous, it should be fine. So just stay positive. Take deep breaths if you feel butterflies coming on, because the examiner sat next to you isn't going to know. And just try and give yourself that positive reassurance and carry on. If you're taking your own car, make sure it's really clean inside. Outside, not crucial, as long as your lights and your glass is nice and clean. But inside, make sure it's spotless. Make sure you've got a spare small rear view mirror for the examiner so that he can make sure everything's safe as well. You can pick them up really cheaply at auto parts shops. And make sure you've got both your L plates front and back, and you haven't clipped them and reduced them in size. Make sure they're nicely visible on your bumpers at the front and the back. Make sure you've got your driver's licence. So if you don't have your physical provisional licence with you, you won't be able to go. If you don't feel ready, just have the confidence to put your test back. You won't remember a couple of months or a couple of weeks in years to come, but you don't want to go through the rigmarole of a driving test if you're not ready. So make sure you practice, get yourself really skilled, and back yourself, and just be confident. And good luck.